All glories to the Son of the devotees. All glories to the Son of the devotees. All glories to the Son of the devotees. All glory Shri Guru Gauranga. Somebody bring over the microphone. So reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 15, text 9. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Satvam Vidatsva Sam Bhumams Tamasa Lipta Karmanam Adabrat Dayaya Dristva Apanam Arhasi Shitum Satvam Vidatsva Binams. Somebody repeat? Huh? Huh? See. Satvam Vidatsva Sam Bhumams Tamasa Lupta Karmanam Adabra Dayaya Dristra Apanam Arhasi Shitum. Does anybody have a book? Okay, so I'll just read the translation. The demigods prayed to Brahma, "Please look upon us mercifully, for we have fallen into a miserable condition. Because of the darkness, all our work has been suspended." Purport. Because of complete darkness throughout the universe, the regular activities and engagements of all the different planets were suspended. In the north and south poles of this planet, there are sometimes no divisions of day and night. Similarly, when the sunlight does not approach the different planets within the universe, there is no distinction between day and night. So I'm going to read the next translation and purport. As fuel overloads a fire, so the embryo created by the semen of Kasyapa in the womb of Diti has caused complete darkness throughout the universe. Purport. The darkness throughout the universe is explained herewith as being caused by the embryo created in the womb of Diti by the semen of Kasyapa. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Bhastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane, Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharne, Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Prasyatya Deshatarane. So here we see that there is darkness throughout the universe. This is because of the activities of Diti and her husband Kasyapa. They conceived a child or children that were actually great demons. So this is a situation with Varna Shamkara. Varna Shamskara are demoniac children, unwanted population. Generally, the children come out as good as their parents if the parents observe the rules and regulations of the scriptures. Otherwise, mainly they become Varna Shamskara, which they simply disturb society. They're irresponsible to their family, to their community, and even to themselves. And in this age of Kali, it's stated that although the parents are very anxious to get their children married, the children don't care for the arrangements made by the parents. In this way, the Varna Shamskara population has increased throughout the world under different names. So this is also stated by regular statistics. It shows how it's been increasing. In 1950, the illegitimate children in the United States were only 4%. But now in this age, it's up to 40%. So it's increasing more and more because of the age of Kali. And this darkness is spreading throughout the world because of the chaotic condition of the population. So this darkness is compared to ignorance, and light is compared to Krishna consciousness. Just like in the Bhagavad Gita, it explains that there are two ways of passing from this world. One is in light, and one is in darkness. Those who pass away in the light, they do not return. But those who pass away in darkness, they come back. So these people that come back are the fruitive workers and the mental speculators. They are continuously coming and going since time immemorial in this material world because they do not surrender to Krishna, and thus they have to come back again and again and again. So they do not hear about Krishna. They do not get the light of the Vedic knowledge. So this light of Vedic knowledge is mentioned as the Vedic literatures. A mundane literature has been compared to darkness, and transcendental literatures is above the mode of darkness. And from the light of this literature, it becomes more progressive, as with progressive readings of the transcendental literature. And this way, by progressive readings of the literature and by realization, one gets more enlightenment of this transcendental subject matter. As that is explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam itself, that this Bhagavad Purana is as brilliant as a sun. And it has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Those who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of the age of Kali shall get light from this Purana. So in this way, by taking shelter of Vedic literature, we could get out of this material world. So Krishna he sends his Vedic knowledge, he sends a spiritual master, he sends the devotees of the Lord. In this way, he gives us a chance to get out of this material world. Because we're so covered over, it's not possible. But he's so merciful to us. He's within our heart, and he sends this literature and the devotees to help us get out of this material world. So, Krishna is just like the sun, and material speculations are just like the dense darkness of midnight. So, by taking shelter of the Krishna sun, then it's possible to get enlightenment, to get out of this material world. So we have to go to the sun, we have to go to the light. It is stated in the Vedas, tamasi ma jyotir gama. Don't go away from the darkness. Come to the progressive path of light. So in this way, if we take this advice, then we could get out of this material world. So Krishna is within our heart, and he says that he helps his devotees get out of this material world. As they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. So it is mentioned that Krishna, he turns on the switch, the light switch in our heart. In this way, we could see things as they are. So this is Krishna's mercy. And he gives us this knowledge, perfect knowledge. Knowledge means, transcendental knowledge means that it's coming down from the parampara to the submissive hearer who renders service, and in this way he gets knowledge of Krishna. One cannot challenge the authority of the Supreme. You can't challenge the authority and at the same time get knowledge. Krishna reserves the right of not being exposed to everyone. So in this way, if one's sincere and performs service, then Krishna will give you the light of knowledge, and in this way, one can get out of this material world. In this way, he unties the knot within our heart, which obliges us to accept this body as ourselves, and this is my country, and in this way, one can see things in their proper perspective and get free from the chain of karma. So this chain of karma is, we create our own chain of karma, changing ourselves to this material world, lifetime after lifetime, by engaging in materialist activities. But by engaging in Krishna consciousness, we will become free from that, free from this chain of birth and death, and able to go back to home, back to Godhead. So this darkness, Maya means darkness, or the darkness of ignorance, because it keeps us in the darkness of ignorance in this material world. And this darkness is a perverted representation of the sun. For without the sun, there can be no darkness. But in the sun proper, there is no question of darkness. So Krishna is there, and therefore Maya can also be there. So there's, both things are there, but Maya cannot stand in front of Krishna. So we stand in front of Krishna, then we're freed from the influence of Maya, the illusionary energy. So we have to see in the light. Seeing in the darkness is not actual seeing. Seeing that that I am this body, this is my country, this is my family. That's not actual seeing. But we have to see in the light. We have to see by the Krishna sun. In this way, not only do we see Krishna, but we also see everything else in this world. We're able to see ourselves and everything else. We're able to see all the relative and the absolute truths. But in the darkness, we are in complete illusion. We can't see ourselves, we can't see Krishna, we can't see anything. So, in this material world, we are attracted by the illusionary energy, and this is compared to the moths being attracted to the fire. This simply causes their destruction. But by surrendering unto Krishna, we could overcome this Maya. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Daiviyesha gunamayi mama maya daratyaya mama eva ye prapadyante mayamaitam tarantite. This divine energy of mine, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is very difficult to overcome. But those who surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. But this surrendering to Krishna, this is not a very easy thing. But it is possible for those persons who perform austerity, mercy, truthfulness, and cleanliness. So this is the position of the devotees of Krishna consciousness who are serious about making advancement. They follow these principles. These principles are followed by following the four regular principles, by following, otherwise, if we don't follow these principles, then these principles of austerity, truthfulness, mercy, and cleanliness are destroyed. This is mentioned in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, that cleanliness is destroyed by illicit sex, truthfulness is destroyed by gambling, austerity is destroyed by meat eating, and intoxication is mercy is destroyed by intoxication. Also, sometimes this is explained in other parts of the Srimad Bhagavatam that mercy is destroyed by killing of animals, like that. So, by following these principles, it is possible to surrender to Krishna. Otherwise, it is not possible. So, attachment in the material world is there. It is stated that attachment for household paraphernalia is in the mode of darkness, and being detached from this is in the mode of light. But a devotee who engages everything in Krishna's service can use everything for him. In this way, he is in the path of light. Just like the Pandavas, they engage everything in Krishna's service, their kingdom, their wealth, everything. So if one does that, one can use everything in Krishna's service. But Srila Prabhupada also explains, then if one is not trained up in this way, then if not trained in this way, then it's better just to give everything up, and otherwise it's not possible to properly hear and chant about Krishna. So just like in the material world, so many of us came from the material world. We came to Krishna consciousness so many years ago, and we were surrounded by so many material things. So we may have been thinking that, oh, I could use these things for Krishna, I could stay in my situation and come to the temple, but if we're not so expert, it's better just to give it all up, leave all our family and friends and just go to the temple like that. And then later on, if we become more advanced, then Krishna will give us the intelligence and the training to use everything in his service. But many times in the beginning, it's better just to leave everything and just surrender to Krishna. So, bhakti is the path of light. And the path of light means to satisfy the senses of the Lord. There's so many different types of yoga: jnana yoga, hatha yoga, bhakti yoga. But those on bhakti yoga, they remain on the path of light because they satisfy the senses of the Lord. Whereas the yogis, they try to artificially stop the senses, and the Gyanis, they deny the senses of the Lord. So in this way, they continuously remain in this material world. They pass away in the darkness, and they have to come back again and again and again. So if we want to see the sun, we have to see the sun by the sun. If you want to see the sun, you have to see by its own light. It's not possible that you could see the sun by a man-made torchlight or by a lamp. No, it's not possible. Only by, if the sun reveals itself to you, then you can see the sun. So only if Krishna reveals himself to you, then you could see him, and you could see his energies and see everything in relationship to Krishna. So sinful life is by engaging in sinful life, one remains in dense darkness. But by becoming Krishna consciousness, this is dissipated. Just like the universe is stated that it's covered in darkness and fog, but the sun is able to dissipate all this darkness. So by coming in Krishna consciousness, then it's possible to dissipate all the darkness of the material world. So we find in this pastime of Diti and Kasyapa, they did not perform the regulated principles, and because of such they had these demons. So this is the importance of the Varnashrama system. It trains people how to have good children. In this way there's good population, and things are able to go on very nicely in peace and prosperity. And in this way they progress on the path of light instead of the path of darkness. So this Varnashrama it's also described as Sanatana Dharma or Bhagavat Dharma. And within Varnashram Dharma there are various ashrams and Varnas and ashrams. The Brahmanas, the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, the Sudras, the Brahmacharis, the Grihasthas, the Vanaprasthas, and the Sannyas. And Srila Prabhupada states that these are interrelated and they depend on each other. So it's not that, oh, I'm a brahmachari or I'm a householder, specifically householders. One can't say that, oh, I'm a householder and I have nothing to do with Varnashrama. But no, Grihastha life is interrelated with Varnashrama. So you can't have one without the other. And this Varnashrama is there in actual human society. When there's Varnashrama, then that's the beginning of actual human life. Otherwise, it's simply polished animal life. And it is stated that by Varnashrama, it develops animal consciousness to human consciousness, and human consciousness into godly consciousness. So that's a benefit of the Varnashrama system. And this Varnashrama system teaches one contentment and self-control. So this Vedic culture, this Varnashram culture, is there to teach us to be content with the bare necessities of life. Just like the example is given of Vamanadev. Vamanadev was asked by Bali Maharaj that, ask me from anything from me that you want. But he just asked him for a few paces of land. For one cannot be happy even with or content with everything in the material. If one wants everything in the material world or the world, one can't be content. One has to be content by the bare necessities of life and by controlling the senses. Therefore, Prabhupada said, we should show this. Therefore, we are starting farms, especially in America, to show people how to be content with the bare necessities of life. So in this way, we have to show by example, because we may say so many things, but without an example, our words have no value. They have no value. So some people ask why this Varnashrama. It was in India. Why is India have fallen away from Varnashrama? If Varnashrama is so good, then why is India so much fallen now these days? And Srila Prabhupada mentions this in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that Indian civilization, which consisted of the 4 Varnas and 4 ashramas, has deteriorated because of its dependency on foreigners or those who have nothing to do with Varnashrama. So this is what happens when you become dependent on those who are ungodly, those who are demons. One loses all one's cultures, or all one's culture. So in this way, we have to, in Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada wanted association, International Society for Krishna Consciousness. In that way, we could get good association, and we could depend on each other. And this way, things will develop more and more, and the whole world will become Krishna conscious. We'll become Krishna conscious, and the world will become Krishna conscious. But if we go away from the association of devotees, then we put ourselves in great danger. And we see that so much in our society. Like Srila Prabhupada, I remember when I joined this temple in 1972, so many devotees were coming to the temple, to the Mangala Arati, to classes. We had evening classes. So many devotees would come to the evening classes. And Srila Prabhupada bought all these apartment buildings for that purpose. He said these apartment buildings are there so you could take advantage and come to the temple. And one devotee, actually was Chaitanya Dasi, she's mentioned if she could get some deities of Gaura-Nitai in her apartment. Prabhupada said, no, you should come to the temple. You should come to the temple and take advantage of the association of devotees. So this is very important, that we come to the Mangala Arati, we come to the classes, and everybody would, so many devotees, I remember they would, the households would come, they would bring their children to the program, and like that. So this is important to remain strong in Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada mentions how we must reestablish this Varnashrama. We must reestablish this. This is one of the functions and one of the functions of the Krishna conscious movement, he said that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, he wanted this, and by doing this, the whole world will be peaceful and prosper. So, by this Varnashrama, there's so many benefits. Prabhupada mentions how by this one will satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One will be able to go back to home, back to Godhead. There'll be peace and prosperity throughout the world. The government be able to manage things properly. There won't be all these criminals roaming and harassing the citizens. And that by this Varnashrama, it is possible to for the Satya Yuga the situation of Satya Yuga to be invoked by this reestablishing this Varnashrama. So by performing these activities, by preaching Krishna consciousness, distributing books, going out in Harinam, distributing Prashadam, and by establishing these farms and Varnashram situations, then things will progress very nicely. This is what Srila Prabhupada wanted. He said, you do this, what we're doing now, but besides that besides the book distribution and Harinam and like that, you should keep on doing that and add this Varnashrama. And then the whole world will become Krishna conscious. He said what we're doing right now is on the small scale, but if you want to make the whole world Krishna consciousness, then you have to adopt this, reestablish this Varnashrama. It is possible, and by it people will be happy, and you have to do it nicely. Okay, so we can stop on these now. Does anybody have any questions on these points? Yes?
So it's my understanding that Kali Yuga is supposed to go on. Thank you for class, Prabhu. So it's my understanding that Kali Yuga has a fixed time frame for so many hundreds of thousands of years. So is it possible if we implement Varnashram Dharma that you can actually enter into a Satya Yuga type existence, or is that not possible because there's already a fixed time for Kali Yuga and that's set?
No, it's possible. That's why this is mentioned in connection with Lord Ramachandra in the Bhagavatam, how the people were experiencing such a nice atmosphere, even though it was Treta Yuga, just by them following the instructions of the Lord Ramachandra when he was present. So it's possible, and just by following the instructions of the spiritual master, following the instructions of Krishna, then it could be invoked. Again, it can be invoked like that. Anybody else have any comments on these questions on these points?
Thank you for the class, Prabhu. I have 3 questions. Maybe we'll just ask separately. The first, maybe we can just answer in short. Yeah, sure. Sure. Yeah, the first question I had is that in the beginning of the class you mentioned that if the parents properly follow the rituals, then the children will be as good as their parents. Correct?
Yeah.
But however, sometimes we do see the examples of even some great acharyas, like their children, they may not be having the same quality as the parent, right? Even though they may be, they're like exalted devotees, but their children may not really turn out to be as, identical to their parents. So how would you explain that?
Well, like Srila Prabhupada says, he uses the word generally. So generally, if the parents perform the rules and regulations according to Scripture, the children will be as good as their parents, like that. So that's general. But that's everybody has free will to do whatever they want. But we should try our best And it's, like Advaita Acharya, he had 6 sons, three of which were atheists, So we're jivas, we have free will, but we could deviate. And even Varnashankara, Prabhupada says mainly those who are illegitimate, mainly they become Varnashankara. So that's mainly, but that's also doesn't have to be factual. Like so many of us, we were from, Varnashankara, but we came to Krishna consciousness. So, but mainly, it's not possible. Like in my family, I have 2 brothers and 1 sister. I'm the only one that came to the temple. So generally, generally the children will become good, but also the parents have to. It's not that okay, we follow the ceremonies and everything, and therefore the children there's so many things that are required. Just like the Gurukula, for example, Prabhupada said that children should be sent to the Gurukula, not that they are sent to the slaughterhouses of modern education. So if one thinks, well, I performed the ceremony, therefore, and everything's okay now, then I just send my kid to the regular school and everything will be okay. No, it won't be okay. In fact, we see that many of the children in our society, at least it seems like in America, they're not getting initiated. They go to regular school, or many of them go to regular school, and they don't become initiated or serious about Krishna consciousness. So it's very, so as parents in the Krishna conscious movement, we have to be very serious and make whatever sacrifices are necessary to have a Gurukula, and try our best to become, and set a good example also ourselves. That we tell our children, you should become Krishna conscious. But we're not so Krishna conscious. Just like I remember when the kids, when we had a Gurukul here in New Dwarka, one of the ashram teachers, Bhaktigana, he was asking me, he was kind of frustrated because the kids that he was taking care of in the ashram, they didn't want to shave their heads. And I asked him, well, what about the fathers of the children? Do they shave their heads? And basically he told me, no, they don't shave their heads either. So if the parents don't want to do that, why should the children do it? Whatever it is. So in this way, we have to set a good example. We have to do everything required. In this way, there's a greater possibility that they'll come out. And like Prabhupada said, it says generally they will. But if generally they're not, then we have to consider, well, Prabhupada said generally would, so what are we doing wrong that that's not happening? In this way, it will, if we do the right things, then generally it will happen.
Thank you. Can I ask another one, or you have?
Anyone else?
Can I ask another question?
Yes.
Thank you.
Right, another question?
Yeah, in the class, multiple times you have mentioned that, going back to Godhead, right? Like, giving up this material world and going back to Godhead. So, I mean, when you refer to that, are you referring to like liberation or mukti? Because from our understanding is that our prayojana is love of Godhead, not going back to Godhead or liberation. So, how would you understand that word when you said, get out of this material world? So,
what are you saying exactly?
Okay, maybe I'll just repeat it again. So you have multiple times mentioned in the class about getting out of the material world, correct?
Yeah.
So, but however, we know that our ultimate goal or ultimate prayojana is love of Godhead, not liberation. So, what were you what exactly are you referring when you said going back to?
Well, yeah, Prabhupada said that love of God is like, but he also said go back to home, back to Godhead. Here in Los Angeles, he said things are getting very much bad in the age of Kali. Don't come back. He said go back to home, back to Godhead. So both things are there. I mean, we shouldn't be artificial and think that, I just want Krishna Prem until we're at Krishna Prem. We should understand that's the goal like that. But we should also think, that my spiritual master told me, go back to home, back to God. It's suffering here. He mentions that a lot in his lectures. There's so much suffering here. Don't come back here. It's not a good place. So we have to consider both things. But he said that so many times, just get out of here. Go back to home. Go back where Krishna is. And then when we get to the platform of complete liberation, that actually doesn't matter where we are. As is mentioned, for a great soul, it doesn't matter if he lives or dies. It's the same thing, like that. For a great soul, it doesn't matter if he lives or dies. It's the same thing, like that benediction that was given to the butcher, you don't live or die. He told the brahmachari, better that you die. And he told the prince, better that you live forever, because once you die, you're going to hell. And he told the devotee, it doesn't matter if you live or die. So the brahmachari, he's not perfect yet. He's performing great austerities. He's suffering. So better go back to Godhead. Just go back to Godhead. But when you're a great devotee, it doesn't matter if you go here or there, because you're with Krishna wherever you are. He says, wherever, one devotee said, wherever you are, that is Vrindavan. So, like that. Yeah. 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 Okay. Thank you. Okay, so we can stop there. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga.